I'm riding Greece. So let's get this adventure moving. Greece. Most people, they head for the islands. Me, I'm taking the long way around, through the mainland. This time, Nafpaktos. You got it, Nafpaktos, a town with roots that go way back. Venetians, Ottomans, even Cervantes showed up here. You'll see why. Look at this place. Terracotta roofs spilling down the hillside. And there, up there, tucked into the trees, yep, that's the Nafpaktos Castle. I'm heading there now. And from up there, you look down on the town. You can see it all. The port, the beach, the curve of that Corinthian Gulf. And yep, overlooking that port, there's a statue of Cervantes. No, he's not Greek. He fought here in 1571, the Battle of Lepanto. They still remember him here. Honor him. Greetings from somewhere here in western Greece. I'm in actually a port city of Nafpaktos. Here sits on the Corinthian Bay, not far from its opening out into the Adriatic and Ionian Seas. It's a Byzantine-era castle, fortress, probably dating back to about the 4th century, but you won't really see any writing in the text until about the 6th century. But ever since then, it's been an important strategic point, particularly around the 6th, 7th centuries when Western Europeans would use this as like a halfway stop as they made their pilgrimage towards the Holy Lands. So a real important medieval port, definitely a well-preserved, the ramparts, the walls. There's a little chapel up to the top, and like all in this part of the world, whether it was the Venetians or the Albanians, and certainly eventually the Ottomans, who took control of this like in 1499, had maintained control of this up until the Greek Revolution of 1829, when finally it became part of the Greek state and the Corinthian Bay here. So anyway, just a quick little brief. That's such a little fraction of the history of this, but it's a beautiful thing. We're gonna fly up the drone. We're gonna get some perspective of us down in the port where I ate dinner last night. Beautiful, well-preserved walls that guarded that port, small port. And interestingly enough, there is a statue of Cervantes down there, the great author, the Spanish author. So it's a little odd. I'm in Greece, but there's a statue of Cervantes, so I'm kind of curious. Why is that there? More to All right, so incredible meal, this like 30-day aged prime rib, cooked perfectly with these very mini baked but more roasted potatoes. And Greek style, they actually made in the oven, so it was warm when it came out. Now I've been trying, they have a great wine selection, wines by the glass. So rather than buying a bottle, I decided to try several of their wines by the glass, including one from Tetramitos, who Paniotis, who's the winemaker there, I met last time I was in the area. And without geeking out on the wine, I gotta share with you. So I was like ready to have one last glass, and I asked him, bring a glass. And when it came out, I smelled it. It was kind of dead. It was kind of like there were no dynamics. There was no fruit. It was just flat and had that something I can get out of a wine like instantaneously, oxidization. Now, sometimes oxidization in natural wines is good, but this wine, being a Xinomavro and Magusca blend, I believe from the Drama region up here, when it sat down, I kept smelling it. I was like, I still had some steak here, and I was going crazy. So I finally, in Greece and a lot of Europe, they're not constantly at your table asking you, hey, how's everything? It's just, it's more like you have the table as long as you want. No one's going to rushing you. They're not there, you almost have to work to flag them down, to get the next glass of wine or whatever. Because they pretty much bring the food and bam, you got it. So, I'm looking for him. He's not around. So I walk inside, I bring the wine with me, and I said to him, I gotta ask you, when was that bottle opened? Okay. And because typically wines by the glass, if they're not selling a lot of them, and restaurants have a tendency to maybe overstate the the use by date, if you will, for the wine, which is, even if you're sucking it, doing the air thing or spraying the gas, it's, after a few days, it's done. It's done. But as my waiter, who professed that he's like not a wine guy, I went in there. I said, when was this bottle open? And he looked around in the bar there, and he pulled out a bottle, and it had just a little bit gone. And he says, I just opened it now. And I was like, oh my God, I was stunned. I'm like, I've never been wrong when I detect there's a problem. And I've always put my money where my palate is, or my nose, and said, okay, open another bottle. Let's just taste them side by side, smell them side by side. If they're exactly the same, fine, I'll buy the bottle or the second glass, whatever it happens to be. So in this case, I went in there, I was like, oh my God, he opened it today, and I could tell it was fresh bottle. So I said, okay, I am wrong. I walked out, back here to my table, watching the movement of the, Nafpaktos, vibrant energy in this little, kind of cool little town. But it just kept irking at me. Every time I pick up the wine, it was just not what I expect. I've had a ton of Greek wine. I know wine. I know it. So it's funny because it's like 11:30, and just about 10 minutes ago, it's actually 11:54 right now. So but at about 11:30, when this all went down, this table over here over my right shoulder just sat down. And I love this about Greece and parts of Europe, where people show up to eat dinner at 11:30. In the US, I'm sorry, we eat way too early. We don't live like this. Is living. I mean, this food. But I digress. Let's get back to the wine. So anyway, after these guys sit down, I see him, and I walk back in with the glass, and I says, look, I'm sorry, I just, I gotta ask it, because as I was out here thinking about this, the amount of wine that was in that bottle that he showed me moments before was not enough for a glass. So then I started thinking, oh, he probably poured the rest of an old bottle and then poured to make the pour up to a glass of the new bottle. So I went in there, I says, look, can you just pour me a little taste of the new bottle that you just opened? So he poured it, a little taste, I smelled it immediately. I was like, okay, I know what happened. So I put the two glasses in front of him, and I says, I know you told me not a wine guy, but you have a nose. You can smell, just like food, smell these two wines. And he looked at me and he's like, you're right. I says, okay, by chance, did you pour an old bottle, an already existing open bottle, into the glass, and then it wasn't enough to complete the glass, then you open that? And he says, well, it wasn't actually me who did this. So the guy that was, working the bar is gone. So there's two servers remaining. And so the other server goes over to the trash can and goes in there to see if there is a bottle. And sure enough, he pulls it out. And there's the bottle that they had just thrown away. And the guy looks at me, he's like, you're right. This must be your business. And I said, well, kinda, sorta, but yeah. And I said, but you just learned something, didn't you? And he says, yeah. I said, see, you do know wine. He smiled and laughed and says, I don't know wine. He then poured me 100% glass from the new bottle. So, note to self, even a new bottle poured on top of an old bottle, it's going to give you that dead, oxidized, nasty there's something. The sad part is they pour that wine for people that, they'll drink it and go like, oh, I'm never going to get that again, or they're not going to order a second glass because they're not getting a wine that's showing the true aromatics, the flavors, the complexities, all the stuff, because wine is life, and after a few days, it dies. Short life cycle. So, I'm happy that I got a fresh bottle because it was, I'm eating alone, but if you were with me, you'd be like, all right, get over it, Alan, just get over it. And I could not let it go. I just knew it was wrong. So I'm happy that we all had a learning experience and that I finally got a good glass of wine. That's all I'm saying. This restaurant called Mortis here in Nafpaktos is awesome. They're really great. And as people see, there's still tables. There's another restaurant right across the way. It's all in the Greek alphabet. I can't even tell you what it means. But people are still just ordering from the menu. Welcome to Greece. And this is not like a big city. This is a small town.